Good morning and happy Friday. Hope you're enjoying the day, even though I'm gone at the state math contest. I figured for today, we're building on last time's lesson with doing two transformations, and I guess the time before that as well, both algebraically and graphically this time. And this is page 14 in your notebook. So make sure this is cut and glued in, and then you can go ahead if you need to pause it and then restart the video and you're ready to go. Last class, we talked a little bit about an isometry. Remember, an isometry is when the pre-image and the image stay the same size or shape. Another word for that is that they are congruent. You may also see the word, rather than isometry, you may also see the word rigid. Those all mean the same things. All the transformations that we've been doing this unit are things that are rigid. Okay, so translations, rotations, and reflections. They stay the same size and shape before and after. When we're performing composition or multiple transformations, you are going to use the prime notation on our letters. We're going to add an extra apostrophe or prime for each step. So let's go ahead, we'll do example 1 together, 1A, and then I'll let you do B on your own. So it says translate triangle ALT, which is -5, 1, L is -3, 2, and T is -3, 2. Go ahead and start by applying those points. Remember your x-axis, the -5, and then we're going down 1 for A. -3 on the x-axis, -2 on the y for L. -3 on the x-axis, +2 on the y for T, and then you're connecting your points. That's the triangle you start with. Make sure you have that, because if that's wrong, the rest of your transformation will be wrong. Okay, and then we're going to apply the rule. Xy goes to x plus 3, y plus 2. Let's see what we remember. X plus 3 is meaning what? It's moving 3 to the right. This is a translation. Whereas y plus 2 is meaning we're moving it up 2. Once again, this is a translation. So you're going to take each point and move it right 3 and up 2. You're labeled with the T prime. Start with L. Right 3, up 2, L prime. Right 3, up 2, A prime, and you're connecting the points. If you prefer it algebraically, you would simply take -5 plus 3 gives us -2. -1 plus 2 gives us +1. -3 plus 3 is 0. -2 plus 2 is 0. -3 plus 3 is 0. +2 plus 2 is 4. And those are the same points that we actually already graphed. Okay, and then it says followed by a reflection of the image over the y-axis. So now we're taking this red triangle, we're reflecting it over the y-axis. So remember, this is your y-axis, this line right here. And if we reflect it over, T and L are actually already on it, so we are going to keep T and L in those same locations. The way we're going to label it now is the L with a double prime, so 2 kind of apostrophes afterwards. And that means that 2 transformations have happened. So we're going to count A to the other side, and we're going to have it be A double prime. You connect it. So you can go ahead, L double prime and O T double prime have not changed spots, so it's still 0, 0 and 0, 4, whereas A is now 2, 1. What I'd like you to do is I want you to try this one on the right. So go ahead, in a moment, pause the video. Just remember you have to reflect it over the y-axis and then translate it. So follow the order that it's written in. Go ahead and pause the video, and when you're ready, turn it back on, and I'm going to show you the answer. What you should have got should look like this. If you didn't do it correctly, maybe double check that you reflected over the y-axis. They should be the equal space on both sides, and double check how you counted. Remember, your pre-image and your image should look the same. So if your triangles look different shapes or sizes, you know you've done something wrong. The follow-up question that I have for you from these two graphs is, did the order you do the transformations change the final image? So, does A double prime, L double prime, T double prime, is it different in our two pictures? Yes, it sure is. It has changed location on the graph. So did the order change the transformation, the final image? Yes. So does order matter? Yes. You have to do what comes first. Do what comes first. So kind of like when you're reading, whatever you see first, you gotta do to begin with, and then you can go ahead and move on to the second one. Example 2 is similar to what we did last class. In these ones, when you have parentheses, rather than you doing what comes first, you do what's ever inside the parentheses first, and then you work your way towards the outside. So keep that in mind. When you have verbal, you're doing whatever you see first, and the parentheses, you do inside parentheses first and work your way out. So use the following transformation rules to answer the following questions. So we are going to, in what quadrant is T 9, 5? Remember, that's a translation of right 5, up 5, and then also a translation of right 5, up 2 of point P. So we're going to start inside the parentheses. So we're going to start with T of 2, 2. Of that point P, which is negative 6, 3. If I start at negative 6 and I go right 3, that's the same as doing negative 6 plus 2. Sorry, go right 2. Negative 6 plus 2 gives you negative 4. If I start at a positive 3 and I go up 2, that lands us at 5. We're now going to take this new point and you're plugging it in where that where the T22 of P is. So we're really just doing now T going right 9 and up 5 of the point negative 4, 5. When you do that, 9 plus negative 4 does give us 5, and 5 plus 5 is 10. You're welcome. The reason why there's a graph over here is if you prefer to do these things graphically, you are welcome to do so. So now, to go back and answer the question, what quadrant are we in? Well, think about it. Negative 5, 10 is all the way up here. What quadrant is that? Well, that is quadrant 1. If you're having a hard time, remember we go 1, and then we go counterclockwise. 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, next we're going to apply this rule. So we have a rotation of 90 degrees, and this is just reminding you about the rule. If you prefer to do it graphically, go ahead and put it on the graph and turn your paper 90 degrees counterclockwise and see where the point lands. Okay, but if not, here's the algebraic rule, and then we have the point 8, negative 2, and you're rotating it and translating it. Which one of these comes first? Well, the translation does, because it's inside the parentheses. So translation of 3, 3 of the point 8, 2. When you do 3 plus 8, you land at the point 11. When you do 3 plus negative 2, you land at the point 1. So after that translation, we're at the point 11, 1. Next, whether you graph that and you turn your paper 90 degrees clockwise, so like that, or if you prefer to use the rule, we're looking at the rotation of 90 degrees of the point 11, 1. So x and y are switching places, so that means 1 comes first, 11 comes second, and we're switching the sign of y, so that first value, which in this case will make it negative 1. Okay, finally, we're going to look at example 3. I could have you work backwards. Given this graph, can you tell what has happened here? So remember here, you want to start at the triangle that does not have any primes. So look for that one. I believe it's the one in the bottom left. The next triangle that we go to is the one that just has one prime next to it, which is the one in the lower right in quadrant 4. And then finally we land in quadrant 1. That's the one that has the double primes. So to go from triangle 1 to triangle 2, what transformation is happening? Well, I'd look at it and notice the triangle ABC is in the exact same orientation and as before. It hasn't flipped on its side or turned, so we know that this is a translation. The next thing you want to ask yourself, well, how far did it translate it? Well, it hasn't gone up or down at all. It has simply moved to the right. If you count how many spaces, it has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces to the right. So it's a translation of right 10, or you can also write it as a capital T 10, 0. Those are probably the two most common ones, but there are some other ways to write it as well. Next, we're going from triangle 2 to triangle 3. Now this one you can tell it's either turned or reflected or something. The way that I like to tell is, notice this is, as we go around clockwise, A prime, C prime, B prime. But this one's A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. If the letters or that the orders appear and ever change or switch, we know that it has to be a reflection. Some of you may have already been able to see that, and that's great. it is being reflected over this line here in the middle, which we call the x-axis. So you can either say reflection over the x-axis. I probably should put it over, sorry. Or you could write that little r with the x, or you can include the axis part of it as well. Okay, that's it for your notes. Go ahead and make sure you do your quiz and then work on your assignment for today. See you later. Bye.